Thanks for staying with us on The Real Story. I'm Emma Wolforst. And joining us now is Scott Esdale, the president of the Connecticut chapter of the NAACP, which stands for the National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, a more than century-old civil rights organization and advocacy group. Scott, thank you so much for being here with us this morning.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course. So with Juneteenth coming up, what does the day mean for you, and why do you think it's so important that we recognize it?
Well, you're talking about the most horrific and most violent and most hideous treatment that I think that any people have received on the face of the earth. What happened here in America, and Black people had to work for free for many, many years here in America. Slavery was a very horrific time for our people, and we fought vigorously to try to stop and abolish slavery. And there were states that still continued to carry out this horrific practice. And there were individuals in Texas that were still practicing slavery, and the slaves did not know. And they finally had troops come in to make the state of Texas stop practicing this horrific institution here in America. And there were still forms of slavery that were practiced after it, but it's a big celebration for our community, and it's just years and years and years of mobilizing and organizing and striving to shut down this institution called slavery. And Black people and whites too died over striving to stop this institution. And we applaud it, and we honor all those individuals, and we salute them for helping us to rid that very, very terrible institution.
So a lot of people might have the day off or see it marked on their calendars now, but how can people honor the day and educate themselves and their families?
Well, the NAACP is the largest and oldest civil rights organization in the world. We have 2,200 branches nationwide, and we have over 500,000 members. There's various activities and workshops and seminars and different programs and different celebrations that we're having across the country. And we're also doing many events across the state, and we're supporting others that are doing events. We're asking people to go out, learn more, get educated, get informed more about Juneteenth, understand the history of it, and, educate your young people and educate some individuals that are 30, 40, 50, 60, don't know a whole lot about it. It was kept away from American history class in school, which is another horrific tragedy of keeping information and real education away from people, Black and white and Latino. But it's very sad that individuals in leadership would keep this information away. But it's important that we continue to break down doors and make sure that this information is available to people.
Right. We've seen people dismiss Black oppression as something of the past. Juneteenth, of course, recognizes historical atrocities, as you were saying, but we're still seeing things like nooses at schools here in Connecticut and white supremacy messages painted on murals right in front of our Capitol. Hate is obviously still an everyday reality. How can people start to confront and maybe deconstruct that in their communities?
Well, hate crime is alive and well in the state of Connecticut. It's running rampant across the state of Connecticut, and it's really running rampant amongst young people too. We're seeing in different high schools where there's nooses. We've seen that at the Ram High School in Connecticut. We've also seen in Simsbury and Milford and other different areas across the state where individuals are painting their faces black with shoe polish. They're doing blackface and putting swastikas up and putting the N-word all over different things and bullying young people in social media and online. And there's some really, really bad stuff going on here in the state. And we're seeing it, in pockets all across. And now we're seeing it right downtown in Hartford, right in front of our Capitol. So it's very bold. It's right up in our face. And we, as a people that are morally in tune with one another, no matter what color you are, we must, as we talked about before, at one time, slavery was legal. Jim Crow laws were legal. And it's imperative that people of good faith do the moral thing, the right thing to do, and stand on integrity and make sure that we collectively go against individuals that want to carry out these type of practices and continue these type of racist practices, not only across America, but right here in the state of Connecticut.
Absolutely. And obviously, Juneteenth is about history, but we want to talk a little bit about some of the progress and policy the NAACP is pushing for here in our state. A major policy of yours is police reform. Where do you think Connecticut stands on that topic?
Well, I don't know. It ebbs and flows. We just had a situation in New Haven, Connecticut, with the Randy Cox case, where we've seen officers being arrested. We're seeing the largest police brutality settlement in the history of America, where they had a $45 million settlement pertaining to the Randy Cox case. We had the Justice Pachulu case in Wethersfield, Connecticut. There's numerous cases. The big case in West Haven, Connecticut, where the state police were involved in murdering a young man in West Haven, Connecticut. So there's a lot of problems in the state of Connecticut. We look at George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and all these big cases like Trayvon Martin and Mike Brown and Eric Garner across America, and Tamir Rice and those big old cases. But there's some really big cases that go on right here in Connecticut. Ben Crump, one of the top civil rights attorneys in America, is constantly here in Connecticut fighting police brutality cases. So, it's alive and well here in Connecticut. And I don't think Connecticut, should, stick their nose up at anything that's going on across America, because it's happening right here in the state of Connecticut. And we need to deal with it and deal with it swiftly and decisively.
And you mentioned the Randy Cox case. Of course, many incidents of police violence happening post that. And there's always this conversation about police trauma in the Black community and how police can start an attempt to build trust and relationships. What do you think are some of the steps of healing and trust building that police can do?
Well, once again, the NAACP, as I stated, has been around for 114 years. We've tried many different tactics, many different strategies. Some have worked, some have not worked. And as I stated that, racism is still running rampant throughout the state of Connecticut. And as we see, people are going right up to the Capitol, where all the cameras that they have around the Capitol, and they don't really care. They're going right out there and defacing a very beautiful artistic expression that individuals took the time to put together. Right there, and I don't know how blunt or more blunt a person can be. So we're trying to have individuals come together. I shouldn't say down, but come together and have conversations and dialogues. But as we see, in Buffalo, New York, there's young white racists that are coming into grocery stores and shooting people down. There's individuals that go into churches and shoot people down, pray with them first, and then go kill them. So our community has always been open for dialogue and striving to do the right thing. But this stuff is pretty bad. And I asked the white community for them to come up with some strategies, because the Black community has really been working tirelessly to do it. I think it's very important that the white community needs to stand up and make sure that people from their community are held accountable. We passed hate crime bills, and we have state prosecutors right now that refuse to hold people accountable for these racist crimes. So I think that we need to work collectively to make sure that people are held accountable.
And just a couple days, about a week after the legislative session, some bills that passed, Connecticut is now allowing cities and towns to decide if they want to implement red light cameras at certain intersections. I know the NAACP has concerns, though, feeling this will disproportionately impact Black communities and inner cities. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Once again, we think that this is a big money grab. This is a huge business opportunity for greedy business individuals. And we think that, if this wasn't a great business opportunity, they wouldn't be putting these millions and millions of dollars into this. They've been fighting for 10 years to get them up, and we've been fighting to try to keep them down. Yes, there is a problem with transportation. The NAACP is a huge advocate for public safety, but we don't want to do it where we're setting ourselves up for greedy businessmen to make tons of dollars off of poor Black and brown people in inner cities. If it's a safety issue, let's set it up in all 169 towns. Let's make sure that there's no big fines and big fees for people that don't pay. That are on these tickets, and let's not make it a commercial issue. Let's make it a public safety issue. And I know that there's other creative ways that individuals have stopped or slowed down public safety issues around traffic issues across the nation where they didn't put these red light cameras up. But one thing that we've seen that people get let's say a $35 ticket or a $40 ticket or whatever, then if they're not able, if a single woman with 4 children is not able to pay for that within a week or so, then it doubles, and then it triples, and then you have fines and fees, and then you see license suspensions, and then you see all type of situations where people's license are suspended, and they're in a situation where they're having a huge conflict with the police, and it just snowballs and gets bigger and bigger and a badder situation. And
Right.
You just don't need that in our community. We just got past COVID, where people were hammered economically, and now they're trying to offset these budgets and balance their budgets off of the poor people in inner cities now with the red light cameras. This is not a solution for public safety, just like the cameras that we've seen in Hartford. They have cameras everywhere, and still we have 40 murders in the city of Hartford. So we have to come with not knee-jerk solutions. We have to come up with real comprehensive solutions to change this. And money is not the solution always to solving problems.
Well, thank you so much, Scott. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left, but I really appreciate you being here.
I wanted to talk some more.
I know it goes
Thanks for
too
having
fast,
me. I
but we
appreciate
you.
And we thank you for all your support and making sure that voices are heard on Fox 61.
Thank you so much. Well, that does it for us on The Real Story. If you want to watch these segments again, you can head to fox61.com or download the free Fox 61 app and watch The Real Story every Sunday at 10 a.m. right here on Fox 61 or streaming on Fox 61 Plus. Have a great rest of your morning.